Coming up on Fox 4 News at 10, we are tracking our next cold front already starting to increase our southerly winds. As that ridge of high pressure shifts off toward the east, we are gearing up for that front arriving this weekend. We'll break down what that means for you in your 7-day forecast coming up next.
On Fox.
Rural police say a 5-year-old had a loaded gun in his backpack, and his father is now facing charges.
A Port Charlotte man is charged with killing his landlord.
An exclusive first look at the ambitious vision for the Fort Myers News Press site.
For months, I've been working to get help for a North Fort Myers man who had a nightmare neighbor. And finally, all the trash is gone.
Cape Coral police are cracking down on illegal e-bike use.
Thanks for joining us on Fox 4 News. I'm senior reporter Alex Ornchuk. A Cape Coral man was arrested after police say a gun was found inside his son's backpack at Trafalgar Elementary School this morning. Our Eric Lovelace went to the school and talked with parents who told us they were shocked.
Turning to our weather now here across Southwest Florida. We start with a beautiful live look from the Sunseeker Resort Charlotte Harbor, heading southbound here down US 41. Crossing over the Peace River tonight, everything smooth, calm, all the things we like to see. Also things we like to see, just a little bit of wind. And it's very, very light right now out of the southeast at 3 miles per hour. I want this number up to around 5 miles per hour. That way we don't have to worry about fog tonight. There will be some areas of haze and fog, but as of now, cautiously optimistic that we're going to have enough of a wind that we won't see as much fog develop. Now let's take you live. Let's head on to Naples. Live look here where high temperatures this afternoon hit 85 degrees. How about that? Felt more like spring across Southwest Florida. Now, as we head into the overnight time frame, visibilities currently, they are picture perfect. And that, again, is what we'd like to see. But so long as the winds stay elevated, that's exactly what our high resolution forecast is kind of pinpointing here, expecting those visibilities to stay above fog criteria. So long as we see at least a half mile or greater, we're just fine. Once those visibilities drop to a half mile or less, that's when we officially have fog. But at this point, we're expecting those winds to stay above 5 to 10 miles per hour. And that's why fog at this point is expected to be far more limited tomorrow morning compared to the past couple of days. Currently out there, temperatures still sitting in the upper 60s and lower 70s across Southwest Florida. We'll dive deeper into just how warm it will be in your neighborhood tomorrow afternoon. Your full forecast coming up.
We have developing news now out of Oregon, where the FBI says it's investigating a shooting involving Customs and Border Patrol agents. 2 people were shot and injured. According to the Portland Police Bureau, officers responded to a shooting that involved federal agents. Officers discovered a man and woman with gunshot wounds. They were later transferred to a hospital, but we don't know their condition. The Bureau says that the shooting is under investigation, and it comes one day after an ICE agent shot and killed a woman in Minneapolis. An investigation is now underway after a detainee died while in police custody in Fort Myers. Authorities say the man suffered an apparent self-inflicted injury, prompting officers to perform CPR and use an AED before EMS arrived. But the man died 2 days later at the hospital. FDLE is now leading that investigation.
The suspected getaway driver in Tuesday's armed robbery at a Cape Coral jewelry store didn't get away very far. This is a surveillance image that investigators say was taken at the jewelry store, and this one was taken outside of his home in Hialeah just a few hours after the robbery. He's now in federal custody, and new documents that I obtained show investigators were trailing him from the minute he left the scene.
An Arcadia puppy breeder is now headed to prison. Prosecutors charged Roseanne Romano with 82 counts of animal neglect and 18 counts of animal cruelty. Back in 2021, the sheriff's office says it seized more than 75 animals from Romano's puppy mill, and some didn't survive. The sheriff's office says the dogs were kept in, quote, deplorable conditions. A DeSoto County judge sentenced Romano to 2 years in prison on Wednesday. Court documents show she entered a no-contest plea to more than 100 criminal charges. The Lee County Sheriff's Office says 4 people have been arrested after deputies walked in on an alleged drug deal in North Fort Myers. Deputies were searching for a wanted person when they spotted an RV parked in a driveway with the door open and the lights on. Body camera video shows the group inside with baggies of meth and marijuana near one suspect. Deputies say they later found more than 100 grams of meth in the RV, along with drug paraphernalia.
I have an exclusive first look at the News Press site plans, but will railroad tracks and environmental issues derail the project? I'm your Fort Myers community correspondent, Miyoshi Price, and I'll get you those answers.
Coming up, I'll tell you about the Sunseeker Resort's new ownership's plan to turn the resort around, and it includes a water park and free parking.
The news doesn't happen in here.
It happens here in Punta Gorda.
On Fort Myers Beach.
In Cape Coral. Our communities are the heartbeat of Southwest Florida. That's why Fox 4 has more reporters.
In more places.
Because when it comes to news, there's nothing more important than what happens in your community.
In Cape Coral, I'm Bella Line. Thanks for watching Fox 4.
Ago, I've been covering the Sunseeker Resort in Charlotte Harbor and its fight to fill rooms. But when Allegiant sold the resort to Blackstone Real Estate last fall, the new owners brought a new vision to the property, and I wanted to find out what that was. So I was invited to sit down with the resort's new director, who told me the plan to turn the resort around, which includes a water park and free parking.
And turning to our weather now here across Southwest Florida, beautiful conditions for those outdoor plans, not just today, but heading into tomorrow as well. Today, we flirted with some record highs. Fort Myers, 85 degrees, just 1 degree shy of that record set back in 1989. For Naples and Punta Gorda, we were just 2 degrees off of the records, but mid-80s across the board for our 3 main reporting sites. Keep in mind, the average high for this time of year, 75 degrees. We were obviously nowhere close to that. Tomorrow expected to be similar, low to mid 80s on the way. As of now, though, records expected to be safe, but certainly something we'll be watching for you closely. Let's take you live now. Let's head outside of our studios, enjoying some mostly clear to partly cloudy skies tonight. And these clouds are going to be kind of in and out as we head through the next couple of days. That's because of an approaching cold front. You'll be noticing a little bit more moisture overall in the atmosphere. So not just higher humidity at the surface, higher dew points, but also a little bit more cloud cover expected. So those morning temperatures, well, right now we're at 66 degrees in Port Charlotte, 67 for Punta Gorda, 73 coming in for Fort Myers, which means your morning temperatures, because they're warmer right now, they're going to be starting a bit more elevated with that extra moisture in place. So instead of waking up to lows in the 50s, most of us actually will be starting off in the 60s. High pressure continues to scoot here into the Atlantic. Winds around an area of high pressure circulate clockwise. So now that flow has become a bit more southeasterly, and that is what is starting to drive up more of that moisture, and that will continue to increase ahead of our next storm system, one currently working its way here into the upper Midwest and eventually progressing into the Ohio River Valley. So that is the next cold front moving through on Sunday. Ahead of it, we will be seeing those winds become more southerly already tonight out of the southeast, anywhere from 3 to 6 miles per hour. And to prevent fog development, we really need those winds to stay above 5 miles per hour. As of now, the latest forecast does predict just that. We are expecting some of those wind gusts overnight early tomorrow morning, right in time for that morning commute, around 8 miles per hour out of the southeast at 5, 7, and 9 o'clock. And then by 11 o'clock up to 11 miles per hour. That will be crucial because that will help to reduce just how many dense foggy spots that we have to deal with on that morning drive. I know it's been something we've had to deal with now the last 4 mornings in a row, and that is definitely a concern tomorrow. So in spots that are wind protected, that's where we have the best potential of dealing with some of those restrictions. Otherwise, the big headline, of course, warm temperatures, 5 to 10 degrees above average as we wrap up the work week and look ahead to the weekend. Next front arrives on Sunday, and that will be followed up by cooler temperatures. So if you don't like the warm weather, if you're kind of tired of these spring-like temperatures, just wait until next week. We'll pull back to those low and mid 70s, a bit closer to where we should be for this time of year. For tomorrow morning, I'm calling for a hazy start versus a foggy start. Heading into the afternoon, mostly clear to partly cloudy skies are expected, and making those evening evening plans. We'll call for a partly cloudy sky, but overall beautiful conditions for anything you have going on as we look ahead to your Friday. Morning temperatures, again, instead of the 50s, we'll be waking up to lows in the low to mid 60s. Afternoon highs generally running in the low to mid 80s, feeling a bit more like spring for sure as we head into the afternoon with those mostly sunny skies. Your evening planner partly cloudy in those mid 70s. Looking ahead to your weekend, lower 80s on tap. Cold front comes through behind it. We will be a little cooler and breezy for your Monday.
Grocery store coupons and apps, how much can they actually save you? We're breaking down how to coupon. If you've never done it before, we'll show you step by step.
I'm Cape Coral community correspondent Bella Line. Scan the QR code on your screen for the latest news in the Cape. I work here every day and I live here too. That gives me a unique perspective because I share the same concerns and pride for my community as my neighbors. Cape Coral is our community. This is our news.
We're watching Fox 4 News, part of the Scripps News Group.
The digital coupon market is a $10.6 billion industry. And according to new data from Capital One, it's expected to grow another roughly $2 billion by the end of 2026. But if you don't use coupons, wading through all the ads may seem confusing. Scripps News Group's Jane Caffrey is giving.
Minnesota's governor readying the National Guard as tensions rise after Wednesday's deadly shooting by an ICE agent. I'm Connor Hansen in Minneapolis. I'll have the details coming up.
In Lehigh, I'm Victoria Quevedo. Thanks for watching Fox 4.
Welcome back into Fox 4. Here's an exclusive you won't see anywhere else. Community correspondent Miyoshi Price shows us the plans for the old News Press site in Fort Myers.
Welcome back to the Fox 4 Weather Center. Of course, something that we've been talking about for, well, really the past year, lack of rainfall. You know, we came into 2026 in deficit, and so far we are starting off a bit lower than average, especially in Fort Myers. We've only picked up a tenth so far. Granted, I know it's only about the first week of January, but we're still down by around a half an inch. For Punta Gorda, we're down by 12 hundredths, and for Naples, we're only down by 1/100th. So at least for Naples, we've picked up around a third of an inch going back to the start of the month and the start of the year. But here's the big story. This is our updated drought monitor. This is what I was worried about. Now severe drought overspreading Lee County. Now including nearly the entire county. This was not the case last week, and now we're starting to see it also encompass western Hendry, western Glades, southwestern Highlands County, all of DeSoto, all of Charlotte, as well as Sarasota. So overall, we are starting to see more of that severe drought kind of overspread the area as our drought indices continue to worsen. So breaking it down now county by county, this is our Keach Byram Drought Index. I like this particular index because it measures specifically the amount of moisture in the top 8 inches of the ground, which would be the layer that would burn should a wildfire get sparked. And you can see kind of where we are dealing with extreme drought here in DeSoto and Sarasota County. But notice the rest of us are critically dry at this point. The good news, though, is that we do have wet weather in our 7-day forecast, and we'll time that out for you coming up next.
Turning now to some news from across the country.
Reaction continues to pour in after that deadly shooting in Minnesota. Protests have stretched into a second day as demonstrators continue to face off with federal officers. Here's the latest from Minneapolis.
Now let's get to news happening elsewhere in Florida.
The battle over property taxes in Florida continues. Governor Ron DeSantis now floating the idea of pumping the brakes, pushing the issue past the regular legislative session and potentially into another special session later this spring. Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders has that story from Tallahassee. A Florida man who became infamous for carrying House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's lectern during the January 6th Capitol riot is now running for office in Southwest Florida. Adam Johnson filed to run for the Manatee County Commission on Tuesday, exactly 5 years after the riot. Johnson was photographed smiling and waving as he carried the lectern through the Capitol Rotunda. The image went viral and led to his arrest just days later. Johnson was sentenced to 75 days in jail and 1 year of probation after pleading guilty to entering a restricted building.
Cape Coral police say they're cracking down on illegal e-bike use. I'm Cape Coral community correspondent Bella Line. I'll show you why police say they're doubling down on enforcement.
Thanks for joining us here in the Fox 4 Weather Center. Well, high temperatures this afternoon felt a bit more like spring, just shy of records for our three main reporting sites. In Fort Myers, we had a high of 85 degrees, though it was 1 degree shy of the record. Punta Gorda, 84, 2 degrees shy of the record. And for Naples, 85 degrees, also 2 degrees shy of that record. So overall, very toasty temperatures. Tomorrow, expected to be similar. For tonight, we have dropped to 67 in Palmdale as well as Punta Gorda. A little milder across Lee County, still in the low to even mid 70s. Currently 73 coming in for Naples, 74 for Marco Island. A big reason why temperatures aren't dropping quite as quickly tonight, that's because of higher humidity. Muggier dew points starting to filter in. So that means we're obviously going to be tracking the potential for fog, but cautiously optimistic our winds will stay elevated just enough that we won't have as much fog tomorrow morning as what we've been dealing with. Let's take you live now. Let's head outside. This is from the Luminary Hotel. Crossing over the Caloosahatchee River and the Caloosahatchee Bridge this evening from downtown Fort Myers. Everything calm, quiet, beautiful. Bit of a switch up today. You know, high pressure is still in control, but keep in mind that winds around an area of high pressure circulate clockwise. So for today, those winds have become more southeasterly. That's why the dew points are climbing. That's why that humidity will continue to rise as we head into the next couple of days, all ahead of our next cold front. This frontal boundary now working its way through the Midwest, even triggering some severe thunderstorm warnings tonight, stretching from Indiana through Illinois and even back through southeastern Missouri into northeastern Arkansas. So at this point, though, by the time that front reaches us here, showers will be few and far between. It will likely be moisture starved on Sunday as that front comes through. A little bit of cloud cover, that's about it. Key point here, as we look at those current winds, calm winds currently for Page Fields as well as Sarasota. Very light winds for Punta Gorda, but look at this. RSW and Naples both reporting those winds at 6 miles per hour. So long as we still see those winds elevated 5 miles per hour or greater, I'm not as worried about fog tonight, tomorrow morning, as what we've been dealing with. So, provided this forecast comes to fruition, which based upon the latest data, I am expecting us to see some of those gusts 5 to 8 miles per hour out of the southeast between 5 to 9 a.m. Not worried about that morning commute being quite as foggy, but we can still have some areas of patchy fog, especially in wind protected spots. So just a heads up there. Otherwise, the big story for tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be another warm one. Similar to today, those high temperatures running about 5 to 10 degrees above average. And that warm surge is all ahead of our next cold front slated to come through on Sunday. Now, following that front, no surprise, temperatures are going to be dropping. Instead of hitting highs in the mid 80s, we'll be in the mid 70s. Monday afternoon, and we'll stay in the 70s for most of next week. Again, a bit closer to where we should be for this time of year. So breaking it down hour by hour, tomorrow morning, a hazy start, winds out of the southeast 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mostly sunny here at 12 noon, partly cloudy for the afternoon, and then partly cloudy as we head into the evening. But overall, those evening plans really shaping up beautifully for whatever you have going on. Low to mid 60s for those morning temperatures. Afternoon highs climbing into the low and mid 80s. And your 7-day planner showing off those nice tranquil conditions as we take you through the weekend. Highs in the lower 80s as that cold front comes through. Just a 10% rain chance Sunday, increasing to 40% on Wednesday.
This QR code on your screen will take you to all the news in North Naples, Bonita Springs, and Estero. I'm Naples community correspondent Eric Lovelace. Every day I go to work building connections with this community. That's how I tell stories with substance that go beyond the flashing lights. Naples is our community. This is our news.
A lot of times I feel like small towns get overlooked because people might think there isn't a lot of news that happens there, but that's definitely not true. But everybody here has a story. You know, there's stories here that everybody can relate to.
Food, fun, arts, and entertainment. Before you plan your weekend, check out Things to Do on fox4now.com. Scan the code, start the fun.
Truck accident? Call Farah & Farah. We've won millions for our clients.
Certainly looks like a lot of fun and great news. Your weather shaping up beautifully this weekend. Likewise tomorrow. We'll start things off with some areas of patchy haze. Could see some fog in wind protected areas. Otherwise, mostly sunny skies for the afternoon. Similar to today, feeling more like spring in the mid 80s.
I'm Austin Chagorotsky. I cover Fort Myers Beach and the Barrier Islands. What I think makes this community so special is people from all over the world travel here to experience the beauty, and it's an area that's being developed and changes quickly, so there's a lot of variety in stories here.